today's video, we're going to be taking a look at the brand new Transformers The Last Knight ThreeA premium scaled Optimus Prime. In this video, I'll be showcasing some of this figure's amazing articulation, as well as some of the impeccable detailing. I'll also be showcasing you the variety of accessories that this figure comes with, as well as giving you some full-on comparisons between this version of Optimus Prime and the Dark of the Moon and Evasion Mode Prime. Starting off with some of the accessories that this figure comes with, here we've got Optimus's signature shield that we see him utilize in both Transformers Age of Extinction and The Last Knight. As you can see, this has been detailed absolutely impeccably. Now, this is actually the default position for the shield. It does split up and open into the gun configuration. However, for now, I'm just going to be focusing on the shield section. As you can see, it is very accurate to what we see in the movie. You've got some nice Cybertronian hieroglyphs throughout the shield. These really nice pointed sections here. You do actually get doubles of these in case you break them. Some fantastic weathering effect. ThreeA's paintwork is really probably one of the best that I've ever seen. Some nice flame details also. And then flipping it to the underside, no details have been skimped out. If anything, it is more detailed. Got loads of rivets and pistons in there with some fantastic sculpting work, as well as some phenomenal paint applications. Now, in order to turn it into the gun configuration, what you're going to want to do is take these sections here and just pull them down away from this. They do peg in. Doing this will just allow them to be freed up. You're going to want to lift them and slide them down, being fairly delicate with them as they are on fairly thin pieces of plastic. Just collapse those down and then take these two halves and effectively untab these pieces here. Take these two halves and just completely split the two halves of the shield just like so. And here you have the kind of gun configuration. As you can see, the entirety of the shield does split and spray out in this really nice configuration. And this is where you can actually bring in some of the other weapons that he comes with. So here we've got these sections here, which are supposed to be for if you want the cannon to look relatively small. As you can see, they're all on magnets and they can be ported into the barrel of the shield just like so. Or alternatively, what I like to do is take this one, which is the longer non-detachable version. As you can see, there is a switch on the back here, which when flicked does light up an LED in the barrel to make it look like it is firing. Just take that and plug that in just like so. And then come back to these pieces and remove this whole section here, and then just take this and plug it on. And there you have the Weapon B configuration for the shield of Optimus Prime. Now, this looks absolutely fantastic and is actually my preferred way to display it. As you can see, when you split the shield, you've got some more mechanical detailing in there, which looks exceptionally well. And even the barrel of the gun has been painted impeccably, as well as this add-on section. The paintwork is really nice, and I do love how they've utilised magnets as well, and really strong magnets. None of these pieces are going to go anywhere, especially if you're just displaying it on the shelf. Another accessory that he comes with is, of course, his signature sword that we see him utilising The Last Knight. This is absolutely massive. I do think that it's probably about 14 to 15 inches long. You can see there's some really nice Cybertronian hieroglyphs on this as well, on both sides, with that same nice paint detail. Moving down to the handle section. I love this handle section. All this sculpted and detailing is just fantastic. This does seem to be made up of a variety of different parts. The design of this sword is a lot more complex than it initially seems. So you can see through this section, which is actually accurate to the model. So just a really nice looking, very big sword. As this figure is based on his appearance from The Last Knight, he does come with this dagger section that protrudes out of his arm when he's about to impale Bumblebee with it. This too has been sculpted impeccably well, and the paint apps are just fantastic. You can see you've got that really nice sculpted in detailing, as well as some fantastic dry brushing. All these pieces are plastic, however, upon first glance, you would be forgiven for mistaking this for real metal. ThreeA have done a really nice job, and it's really pointy as well, which is nice to see. None of that rubbery plastic that we get with some of the Hasbro figures. Nice solid plastic that looks really cool. He also comes with some extra gauntlet pieces. These are if you want the arms to look a lot more flush, as opposed to having the peg that sticks out, which is the ones I have on the figure at the moment. The peg is used to obviously hold the shield, and then on this section there is a peg on the arm as well, which is used to hold the dagger. As you can see, these have been painted fantastically. Not really pieces that I'll be swapping out too frequently. I will probably just leave the ones with the pegs on so that I can plug the shield and the dagger on as I so choose. But it's still a nice inclusion, especially if you want him to look a lot more sleek and movie accurate like he does in the film. He also comes with an alternate mouth plate. As you can see, this too has been detailed fantastically well, and is also on a magnet. However, we'll get more into this when we discuss the details in Optimus's head. And then finally, he does come with some attachments. As you can see, this is for the holder for the sword. This section here does actually come off, and this is the bit that plugs onto the shield when you have the sword and shield configuration when you hold it onto the back, as well as this black piece here, which is used to slot into the figure's hand upon holding the sword. Now for this next section, I'm going to be focusing on the figure's details. I'm actually going to present this as a kind of show reel of the details instead of speaking through every single aspect of the detail. Just due to there being so much, my original take on this did take at least 10 minutes, which is quite an extensive amount of time to be talking about the details on a figure. So without further ado, let's get cracking. So as you could probably tell from that short montage, the details on this figure are absolutely impeccable. I've collected all of the premium scale figures from ThreeA, and I can say straight away that this is by far the most detailed ThreeA piece to date, and all of them are phenomenal. This figure has layer upon layer of detail, which unlike the previous versions before this was completely unseen. The detail is so accurate that you would be forgiven for mistaking this for an actual CG render of how Optimus appeared in The Last Knight. Now for this next section, I'm going to showcase how you can equip the different LED features in Optimus's eyes, as well as showcasing the articulation that this figure has. In order to activate the LED function, there is a small button on the back of Optimus's head. Pressing it once will give you his Autobot blue eyes. Pressing it a second time will give him the Nemesis eyes that we saw in The Last Knight. As you can see, I think this is a great integration of getting both looks for Optimus, the purple and the blue, and then finally pushing it a third time will just completely switch it off. Now in order to swap out the mouthpieces, they are on magnets, so you simply just pull the mouth plate version off and then simply insert the mouthpiece on. Personally, this is my preferred look for Optimus, as I think the details are absolutely exquisite, and with the LED feature, this figure looks really realistic. Coming in for a closer look, as you can see, all the sculpted and detailing in the mouth lines of Optimus have been excellently recreated. The head sculpt is definitely by far my favourite asset of this piece. I think it is impeccably done, and with the fantastic ball joint and the neck, you can definitely get this figure in a variety of different poses. Now turning to articulation, it is almost just as good as the detail. To start off with, the head is on a ball joint, so it can look up and down, side to side and tilt left to right. There is also a neck joint, which also allows the head to cock even more forwards and backwards and side to side. Moving the shoulder pad section allows for you to get a greater range of motion out of the arms. As you can see, they are on ratchet joints going forwards and backwards. If you lift the armor piece up on your shoulder, you do have a butterfly joint, which lifts up and down. Moving the armor sections away from the chest, that butterfly joint can also move forwards and backwards towards the chest. As you can see, there is a ratcheted joint just above the elbow section. The elbows have got a double joint, so they are able to ratchet a 90-degree bend. There is also a spring section at the back which collapses when you compress the arms, which is a great form of engineering on ThreeA's part. The wrists are on ball joints, so they can swivel forwards and backwards, as well as crunch in and out and up and down. Each finger is individually articulated, so you are able to spray out every single finger of Optimus, including the thumbs, and I do believe that each point of the finger has about 3 joints of articulation. The fingers are exceptionally well articulated and can give you a really nice looking fist, and also you can manipulate them for whatever pose you so choose to put the figure in. Turning to the torso articulation now, there is a small button in the chest that you need to push in order to get the ab crunch. There is 2 joints, the top joint allows him to rock forwards and backwards. And then finally the major joint, which is the waist joint, allows you to swivel the figure forwards and backwards. And utilising that top ball joint, you can get the figure in a great variety of poses and get a really decent ab crunch, which is definitely great for some of those more dynamic poses. The skirt pieces are on ball joints, so they are able to be lifted up, and they also have 3 points of articulation. Moving the skirt pieces down now, we want to pull the legs apart. This allows for extra articulation, and then you pull the legs downwards as well. This enables the legs to move even further than they could initially could. So as you can see here, I'm demonstrating that you can actually get an extremely high kick out of Optimus all the way upwards, which is a great range of motion. It could probably go further than that, but I don't want to push it in case I accidentally break something, as these pieces are fairly delicate. It can also do the splits. There's also a ratcheted swivel at the top of the thigh section also, which is great. And there is a double joint at the knee, allowing you to kick the leg all the way backwards like so. Finally, the feet are on ball joints, so they can pivot forwards and backwards on an extremely stiff ball joint. They can also tilt from side to side, which has a great range of motion. And finally, the tip of the toe is ratcheted, so it can also ratchet forwards and backwards. In terms of weapon integration, for the bladed section, as you can see, it does have a plug on the back of it that just pegs onto the extra gauntlet section that we discussed earlier. I think it disguises itself reasonably well and definitely does look as if though it protrudes out of Optimus's forearm, much like we saw in the movie. In terms of the shield, as you can see on the underneath, there is a plug that will just plug onto the peg on the arm, and it stays on there relatively securely, and due to the ratchets and the stiffness of the waist joint, Optimus is easily able to hold the weight of the shield, which looks awesome. Now, in terms of Optimus's sword, you're going to need this additional black piece that we spoke about earlier on. In order to equip this into the figure, you're going to want to split the palms open, and inside the palm of the hand will be 2 slots. These 2 slots will be filled by the 2 pegs that are situated on the back of the handle section. You're then going to want to take the sword, and it does just plug into place just like so. With this plugged in, you can now curl the fingers around the handle of the actual sword, and that is how you successfully integrate Optimus's sword in a stable way on his hands. In terms of storing the weapons on the back of the figure, as you can see, you just take the sheath section, plug it onto the peg in the back, and the sword will slide directly into that. You can adjust it and swing it in whatever way you so choose. However, I like it at an angle. You then simply need to remove that, and then the shield will plug into the exact same port as that sheath section plugged onto. So as you can see, you just take the port section, align it up, and it will peg onto the back. It does weigh him down significantly, however, the figure is fairly balanced, so it won't topple over. In order to equip the sword on the shield, you're going to want to remove the middle section. As you can see, there is a T-shaped section, which the next section will just plug onto. You then take the sheath section, plug that into that piece, and then slide the sword section in, and then finally plug the entirety of the shield back on his back. And there is Optimus with both his shield and sword stored on his back like the movie. For a comparison, here is the Last Night Optimus Prime compared to the ThreeA Dark of the Moon version as well as the Evasion version. As you can see, this figure is ever so slightly smaller than those figures. However, this one is definitely a lot more detailed and a lot more layered. I definitely think the engineering in this figure is a marked improvement over the previous versions, and although the previous versions too look awesome, there is no doubt that this is definitely the most accurate rendition of Optimus Prime, and is definitely a lot more detailed and has a lot more detailed layers over the top of him compared to the other 2 releases. Considering the Dark of the Moon design is my preference, I would have thought that I would have still thought that figure reigned supreme. However, having the Last Night version, I can definitely say that the Last Night version is leaps and bounds better than the previous premium scale Dark of the Moon Optimus. Despite me liking the DOTM design a lot more, I found myself liking the Last Night version a lot more just due to how much detail they were able to pack into it. So there you have it. That is my review on the ThreeA Transformers The Last Night Premium Scaled Optimus Prime. Overall, I think this piece is awesome. The details and the accuracy to Optimus' appearance in The Last Night is superb. The paintwork as well as the excellent sculpting makes this piece look astounding. Every release ThreeA brings out for this Transformers line, they seem to outdo themselves each and every time, making them one of the leading companies for premium high-end figures. I love the way they've managed to incorporate both blue and purple LEDs into the head, allowing collectors to really bring this piece alive, depending on what poses they position the figure in. The articulation is too sublime. You can move this figure in pretty much any way you want, and considering how complex the design is, its articulation is extremely impressive. Taking all of that into account, I can safely say that this is probably the holy grail in my collection at the moment. However, with such an awesome piece comes a very hefty price point. This figure has set me back £450, secluding itself to those who are fortunate enough to afford this. However, if you are in the market and you can afford this, then I highly recommend it. Thanks for watching my review, and be sure to stay tuned for the review of the ThreeA The Last Night Bumblebee very soon. Thanks for watching.